Good morning, boys and girls, from Black Powder headquarters and the Bojangles studio high on Sassafras Mountain. CDA presents Realtree Radio. Welcome to a brand new, unused Saturday morning. Good morning, I'm so stupid. Good morning, boys and girls, from high on Sassafras Mountain and the Bojangles studio. O'Neill Outside presents Realtree Radio. Welcome to a brand new, unused Saturday morning. Yes, indeed. It's time to set politics aside. Haven't you had enough of that this week and every week? It's time to talk about the outdoors, hunting, fishing, camping, hiking, spending time with your family. Let's set aside the next hour at least and throughout the day on WSB, and let's talk about something else. It's my pleasure to invite you to watch. This show is brought to you by Hayes Auto Dealerships, CVA Muzzleloaders, Realtree, Striplings, QDMA, Tough Shed, Pennington Seed, Zach Brown Knives, Thorogood Boots, Governor's Gun Club, Horsetown Stores, Cherokee County Toyota, and Snellville Heating and Air. At 7 after the hour, we will have the Silent Hero recognition. We'll have the Medal of Honor and many other things, including the Zach Brown guest book this morning. If you can continue to join us, the calls are lining up now, and we hope we'll be able to discuss the outdoors. It's deer hunting time. The rut has almost started. It's almost over in some places. And for the number one fur-bearing animal in North America, it's time to go deer hunting, besides all the other things that you can do in the outdoors. So it's time to do that for a little while. The telephone numbers, if you'd like to join us, the telephone numbers are 404-872-0750, or outside the Atlanta calling area, it's 800-972-8255. Is that right? Yes, 972-8255, which translates to WSB Talk. Some features in the second hour that are awfully popular: the Silent Hero recognition and the Medal of Honor. And before I forget to do so, if you will go to Horsetown Stores or Cherokee County Toyota, I have signed O'Neill Outside hats there, caps. And you can get them free. All you do is walk in and say, "Where's my hat?" It's signed by O'Neill, and you can get them there. This is O'Neill. We'll be back. Yes, indeed. On radio right now, we're playing Zach Brown and the song that made him famous. So, anyway, welcome back to the program, everyone. We got a lot of calls. We want to get to every one of them if we can. We have some other features coming on later in the program, so let's round up some of our calls. Here's my friend Dudley, and he's headed for somewhere in the woods. What are you going after this morning, sir? Dudley.
O'Neill.
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Hey, it's Dudley. I hear you.
Okay,
hey, I'm
good.
on the way to the farm to do some deer hunting this morning.
Oh, mighty fine.
Actually, hey, when you work in the gun business, it's field testing.
Yeah.
So this is work for me.
That's right. Makes it all tax deductible.
Exactly. But I tell you, I'm trying out a new muzzleloader this morning that we've developed. It hasn't been introduced to the public yet. It's called the Paramount.
Okay.
And it's designed for long-range muzzleloader shooting.
No kidding. Like what kind of range?
How about that? Well, I'll tell you, O'Neill, I've been testing this gun on the range quite a bit. I'll just tell you this: 300 yards is a chip shot.
No kidding, with a muzzleloader?
Yes.
And you call this
you
what?
may be wondering, well, how do we do that? And well, first of all, the gun is built to handle a relatively heavy powder charge, and we're using the Blackhorn powder with it.
Okay.
Which is a good bit more. It's a good bit more powerful than most of the other muzzleloading substitutes.
Okay.
So for the same granular weight measure of powder, you actually get more pressure. and we combine that by doing it in a 45 caliber instead of a 50.
Okay.
So your bore diameter of the barrel is reduced, your power of the powder is increased, and you know what that adds up to? It adds up to greater muzzle velocity.
And what size power belt bullet are you using for a 300-yard shot?
Well, I tell you, we worked with Powerbelt on this. We've developed a special new bullet. It's called the ELR, that stands for extra long range.
Okay.
And it's a 280 grain bullet.
Wow.
And because it's 45 caliber, it's longer than a 50 caliber bullet of the same weight would be. And what that length gives you, it gives you a greater ballistic coefficient than you can get with a 50 caliber bullet. So that as well adds to your long range capability, because you've got a faster flying, flatter shooting, more stable bullet going down range than you do with a 50 cal.
Let's make sure that my audience heard you. You're talking about a new CVA muzzleloader called what again?
It's called the Paramount.
The Paramount. And you're saying that it's a 300-yard muzzle loading capability.
O'Neill, we've shot good groups at 400 yards.
Oh, man.
And so you know, when you can put 5 or 6 shots into a killing group size at 400 yards with a muzzle loader, you've got something that, let's say you're going on that elk hunt of a lifetime out in New Mexico or wherever, where I tell you, I've hunted out there. It's tough to get within 400 yards of an elk.
Yes, it is.
But with this rifle and knowing what the drops are, now your bullet's going to drop about 40 inches from your. If you zero at 200, it's going to drop about 40 inches. But if you know what the drop is and you've had experience with that rifle, so you know how high you need to hold at that kind of range, I like to say it's well within minute of elk at 400 yards.
I am absolutely amazed, and now that contributes to the use of a muzzleloader for a longer season, a season that begins sooner, if you will. This adds quite a bit to the idea of a muzzleloader as being the primary weapon for a great portion of the deer season.
Well, you know, and of course, you know, it opens up seasons to you that rifle hunters don't get to participate in. So in a lot of states, the elk are still bugling when muzzleloader season is in.
Oh, man.
By the time rifle season comes in, they quit bugling. And, you know, you've hunted elk before. You know that locating them is the problem. And when they're bugling, takes away, I mean, it's 90% easier when you know where the elk is before you try to sneak in on him and get a shot.
Well, I got to tell you, too, that when you're elk, to me, the bugle is what makes elk hunting so exciting.
Absolutely. And every bow hunter knows that, but a lot of people don't understand that if you're not a bow hunter, you can get some of that excitement by going during the muzzleloader season. Colorado's muzzleloader season is right smack in the middle of the rut.
Oh, boy. The CVA Paramount.
CVA Paramount.
Oh, boy. Well,
people will start to see that hitting the market probably about next May or so.
Okay.
And they'll start seeing our advertising. They'll see it. You know, our buddy Chad Shearer.
Yes.
He was using the gun on an antelope hunt last week, and he shot an antelope at 301 yards and drilled it right behind the shoulder.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's
it's pretty incredible.
Incredible and very, very interesting. And I guess you've got my name written on one of those, don't you?
Of course I do.
Good luck to you today, pal.
Number one off the assembly line has your name on it.
Okay, I'm flattered and grateful, and I'm glad we got together this morning. The most interesting call of this 2-hour program, the CVA Paramount. I can't wait to get my hands on one and visit the range.
All right, well, I'll get one to you as soon as I can, O'Neill.
Mighty fine. Thanks for calling, Dudley.
Hey, enjoyed it, O'Neill. You have a great day.
Good luck to you today. Have a great hunt. There you are. Let's see. It's 19 after the hour. Let's go ahead. We'll get to Mac in a minute. Quickly, let's take for Mark in Camden County. Where are you headed this morning, sir? Uh-oh, wrong button. Just a moment. There we go. Now, Mark, where are you headed today, sir?
I'm cruising through Taylor County right now, heading up to my lease in Talbot County.
Oh, okay. You've always got a destination, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, well, I tell you right now, you're talking about the rut. It's on. I've already passed about 7 nice big mature bucks on my way up this morning.
Boy.
And you know as well as I do, the only time you see them, even at night,
you betcha,
is when they're, they're following the does. I saw a buck in Ben Hill County that was easily over 200 pounds on the hooch, just staring at a doe not 10 feet off the road.
Oh, man. Well, that's why so many of them die.
I listened to your CVA call. You know where a rifle like that would really come in handy?
Tell me.
Up north, where they have the shotgun seasons, most of the time, muzzleloaders are legal during their shotgun seasons.
That is right.
Like Ohio, Illinois.
That is right. That is an excellent application. Excellent application.
Yeah,
a long-range muzzleloader. Boy, they're going to sell those things by the thousands.
I was sitting on a cornfield in Ohio about 10 years ago, and I saw an honest-to-God, non-typical booner at about 300 yards, and he may as well have been in the next county with that muzzleloader I had in my hands back then.
You bet.
I would have loved to have had one of those things in my hand on that hunt.
You know something? I'll bet you get one.
I bet you I do too, because I hunt up north a lot. I'm going to Michigan and Ohio at the end of the month this year. I'm hunting both states.
Wonderful. I wish the gun was available to you now, but it'll be in our hands really soon. It's called the CVA Paramount, long-range muzzleloader.
Next season when I head north, you can just about bet I'll have one.
I'll bet you will. Good luck to you today, Mark.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good weekend.
You bet. I always enjoy hearing from you. 21 after the hour, almost 22. This is O'Neill Outside, Saturday mornings, the #1 live outdoor-based radio talk show in the country, and it's because you guys participate in the show. This is O'Neill, 404-872-0750, 800-972-8255. Mac is on the line, and we'll have the Mac Farr Hayes Ram Fishing Report when we return. Welcome back. You're listening to O'Neill Outside, and Mac's in the wings waiting for the Ram Fishing Report. Good morning, Mac. What do you say?
Good morning, O'Neill.
Boy,
doing okay?
What's the water temperature? Is it going on now?
Man, the water temperature really took a big hit. It's trying to get back to where the calendar says it should be. And after last weekend, well, gosh, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but we dropped. The period of time that we lost 10 or 12 degrees is pretty quick. We're down to about 66 as of yesterday. So it's getting there.
So fishing's good.
Fishing's good. You'll need some versatility. Because the water temperatures are in the 60s, a lot of times we'll get a condition in most lakes around the southeast where we have fairly uniform oxygen levels. So we've got fish, and this is your challenge today if you're going fishing. We've got fish, and I'm talking about bass and stripers. We've got some that are up on the banks, some that are on the surface, some of them are down there 40, 50, 60 feet.
Oh, boy.
Yep, so you got to pick your patterns carefully and use your weather. It changes a lot, but they're all in all. In a nutshell, on Lanier, we've got a lot of – I would lean towards the shallow patterns, particularly if we get just a little bit of wind. We're getting a good bite on spinner baits, jerk baits, that type of thing, shallow areas. And with the stripers, getting a lot of schooling fish. It's pretty entertaining. They're hard to catch because they're eating little bitty bait.
Okay, let me interrupt and ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a lesson for the audience. Why is the wind important?
I think on a lake like Lanier, and so many of our southern impoundments, particularly ones more up in the upland parts of various states, you get a lot of clear water. If it's really slick, they can see you better. I think they're timid. I don't think they'll move as far to get a bait. I think they spook much more easily. When you get a little wind to bust that light up, they get a little more brazen. You're a little harder to see, and they'll move further. So if you took two identical situations or pieces of structure, let's say, and if you could do it, it's possible to do, but if everything could be made equal, one of them, the water was glass slick, and the other one had 5 to 10 mile an hour breeze on it, the one with the wind will probably be the more productive of the two in most situations.
Wind at your back.
Wind at my back? Yes, absolutely.
Terrific lesson, Mac.
Well, thank you. And it's that'll hold true for most types of fish in most bodies of water.
Yeah, this calm water is not good.
No, if that's the case, you'll probably need to fish deeper, smaller, lighter.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Get that really slick water. Which
Terrific lesson.
Today,
terrific lesson. And may I comment? That's what you learn when you go fishing with Mac. You learn about how to be an angler. Those finer points that will make you a better fisherman forever.
That's what we strive for, absolutely.
And it really does work. Gosh, you and I have probably fished together 20 times, and I always learn something.
Well, even if it's the wrong thing, you learn something.
That's exactly right. All right, my good friend, a great Ram Fishing Report. How do people contact you?
They can call us at 770-271-0851, or you can find us online at captainmax.com, CAPTMACKS, and you can see an expanded version of the Ram Fishing Report online on our Facebook page every week, usually on Thursday or Friday.
You bet. You got some great videos coming up. I really do enjoy them.
Well, we'll try and keep you entertained a little bit anyway.
All right, my good friend. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend.
You
Thanks,
bet.
Sir.
See you soon. Now it's time for the Ronnie Thames Foundation Silent Hero Award. I think I've got some music that comes in there somewhere.
And now,
there he is.
It's time for the Ronnie Thames Silent Hero Foundation Award. Brought to you by Fire Aid.
All right, this is an interesting description. Firefighter Matt, M-A-T-T, Matt Holliday, he jumped behind the truck and he was on the way to a fire that had been called in, and noticing that the call was, he anticipated that it would be a failure. The house was almost fully engulfed. He jumped out of the truck, rigged his gear, and went around to the side of the house that was not fully engulfed in flames, and he jumped through a window. The window was already broken from the heat, jumped into the blackness that was in there, and located an elderly lady, 70 years old, on the floor. He thought she was already deceased. On his own, in full blackness, he lifted her and passed her through the window that he had just climbed through, and he exited with her. He anticipated that she was already deceased. The other firefighters outside the glass, outside the window, screamed, "I've got a pulse." It was not a recovery. It was a rescue. A silent hero firefighter by the name of Matt Holliday. And the elderly lady, 70-plus years old, because of his heroism, she is alive today. And that's the silent hero recognition description for today, November the 3rd. It's 31 after the hour. And, boy, I get a big kick out of doing those things for you guys. And it is really a pleasure. All right, now let's see who's up next. And I believe it will be Hank the Yank is calling on O'Neill outside. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. O'Neill. How are you today?
Lovely.
Well, good. So listen, before I give you a striper report, and I want to be really quick because there's something we have to talk to our listeners about.
Okay.
Election Day is Tuesday.
Yes.
And it's really important. Doesn't matter whether you're red or blue in this case.
Mm-hmm.
For all Georgia voters, you and I need to discuss really quickly the Georgia Stewardship Amendment 1, which basically, in a nutshell, is going to be an amendment that you can vote for, yes or no. And voting yes means that for every dollar spent on merchandise purchased for the outdoors, whether it's fishing, hunting, camping, backpacking, anything like that, 3/4 of a penny will be set aside of your $1 spent 3/4 of a penny will be put aside to go towards things like buying land and putting all sorts of dollars back into our lakes, our rivers, land usage, and stuff like that. So it's Amendment 1. We want everyone to vote yes.
And I did already.
Good for you.
You bet.
So that's all
Great
I just
reminder.
wanted to mention.
Terrific reminder, and I thank you for that.
Yep. Well, you're more than welcome. Well, listen, it's like the old. Is Gail with you this morning?
No, she's asleep this morning.
Oh, she's asleep. Okay. Well, do you remember there was a movie called My Big Fat Greek Wedding? And
Yes.
The father always talked about the origin of every word. That was his big thing.
Uh-huh.
So for all our listeners out there with Election Day coming, the origin of the word politics.
Okay.
Poly meaning many, ticks meaning bloodsuckers. Politics.
Well done.
Anyway, all right. So listen, topwater season has begun. It's on the lake, most of our lakes across North Georgia, but especially Lanier. This is fly rod time, and we are right dead center in the middle of it. You go out on the lake any given day, and if you see 10 boats on the lake, 6 or 7 of them will be guys with fly fishing rods right now. The fish are surfacing. They're on top. They're eating itty-bitty baits, and it is just ideal for a quote-unquote match-to-hatch situation. So this is our time of year, and the fishing has been quite good, and the fish have been surfacing everywhere on Lanier, basically below Browns Bridge, between the dam and Browns Bridge, which I know sounds like a big part of the lake. We don't have our birds in yet, and there's very few terns and gulls. So all you need to do is drive around, burn gas, and keep a set of binoculars, and just look for those fish that are up on top. And where you and Mac were talking about getting on the windy side, the stripers on Lanier tend to surface better on the calm water. So if you're bass fishing, going to the wind is helpful. If you're striper fishing and you want to catch them on top water using flies, you need to go find the non-windy sides because the fish tend to school better in the calm water.
Well, I think they school on the windy side too, but you don't see it.
You probably don't see it nearly as much. It's very rare to see those fish coming up.
You bet.
So that's what's going on. Pal.
I saw your. I think you've got a video on Facebook right now for that. Do you not?
I do. I put out a video where you can just see about 50 fish just tearing it up one afternoon.
Oh boy!
And they tend to school early and late, and so good time of year to be on Lanier. We're O'Neill. We are blessed. I am booking trips. My next available date, believe it or not, is January 6th.
Oh,
I am booked
goodness.
up. November and December is gone in my books. I'm already booking January. So
Fantastic.
fly fishing's gotten just really popular on Lanier over the last few years.
Terrific. Glad to hear that.
All right, pal. Well, listen, you have a great weekend. Go Dogs. Big day today.
Absolutely.
Gonna beat those Wildcats.
Yes, the Wildcats. That's indeed right. Well, I'll be listening to the game too.
Well, good. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll speak to you next week.
You bet. Glad you called. Hank the Yank. There we go. And so there you are. All right, it's 35 after the hour. Not time for another call right now, but we will get to everyone. William in Texas and Richard in West Virginia when we get back. But when we do return, we will have the Medal of Honor description. Then we will get to those calls, I promise. This is O'Neill, 404-872-0750, 800-972-8255. Those of you who are calling and listening, I do appreciate your support. It's quite gratifying that this program has reached the level as it has, because who in the world else would get up at 2:30 in the morning to do a radio show? So many thanks to Karen and Brian Green, Jason Byers. This is O'Neill with O'Neill Outside. We'll get to the calls, I promise, and when we return, it will be the Medal of Honor tribute, and we'll be back. Einar Ingman, Army, Korea, 1951. The two leading squads of the assault platoon in his company, while attacking a strongly fortified ridge held by the enemy, were pinned down by withering fire, and both squad leaders and several men had already been wounded. Corporal Ingman assumed command, reorganized and combined the two squads, then moved from one position to another, designating fields of fire and providing encouragement to the men. locating an enemy machine gun position, was raking his men with devastating fire, he charged it alone, threw a grenade into the position, and then killed the remaining crew with his rifle fire. Another enemy machine gun opened fire approximately 15 yards away. When Corporal Ingman charged the second position, he was hit by grenade fragments and a hail of fire, which seriously wounded him about the face and neck and knocked him to the ground. With courage and stamina, he arose instantly and, using only his rifle, killed the entire gun crew before falling unconscious from the wounds. As a result of the singular action by Corporal Ingman, the defense of the enemy position was broken. His squad secured its objective, and more than 100 enemy troops abandoned their weapons and fled disorganized. Corporal Einar Ingman, U.S. Army, 1951, Korea, 42 after the hour. Let's talk now to William is calling from Texas. Good morning, William. This is O'Neill with O'Neill Outside. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Mr. O'Neill Williams. How you doing, sir?
Lovely. Glad to take your call. What's going on with you?
Yes, sir. I'm just sitting up here in northeast Texas. First time I've ever been able to catch your show, man. Weather's pretty. I live out in the woods, and the weather's pretty good tonight. So my little radio picked up your show. First time I ever heard it, and
wonderful.
Very, very informative.
Thank you very much.
I'm not much of a. I'm sorry.
I say thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I never been. I was always a city boy. I live up here in the woods now, up here in northeast Texas. But wasn't ever much of a hunter, so y'all really turned me on, man. I really like it. I appreciate it, brother.
Well, the hunt is what counts, and I would urge you to participate. There's an awful lot to learn, an awful lot to know, and most of it is rewarding according to how you position yourself in the woods for deer, for quail, for duck, for pheasant, whatever the case might be. You are, being in Texas, man, you are in the hotbed of deer hunting. That's right. That's the big place.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got lots of. I got two boys. They deer hunt, with their father-in-laws and all that. But I wasn't ever much of a hunter. But I need to get into it.
I think you'll enjoy it. There are millions of us that do that. I know in Georgia alone, there are 350,000 deer hunters in Georgia. In Texas, more than that, I should think.
Right, brother.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you, man. I'm going to keep listening.
Good deal. Tune us in every week and call us and let me know your progress with your sons. And I'd love to hear about how it goes for you in Texas. Glad you called,
Thanks,
William.
O'Neill. Appreciate it, brother.
You bet. See you soon there. All right, let's talk. Is Richard want to be talked to today? I don't know. Vince is calling from Forsyth County. Good morning, Vince. Vince up. Well, if I would click the right, there he is. Good morning, Vince.
Good morning, O'Neill. Good morning, sir. How you doing this
Lovely. And you going to deer hunt this weekend?
Yes, sir. I'm on my way down to from Forsyth County down to Talbot County.
Okay.
So I appreciate Mark's update that he gave us earlier there, a few calls earlier. So I'll be keeping my eyes open on the way down there.
You betcha. Evidently, the rut must be going on in Talbot County.
Apparently, sir. Apparently, I've been getting some texts from some of the boys down at the club, and apparently they're seeing some action. So that's why I'm heading down. But anyhow, my question to you this morning, O'Neill, was I want to know the best time to call to deer with a grunt call, and my follow-up question is there a time when you don't want to call to deer?
Okay, let's see if I can handle this, but I must begin my answer with the following. I am not good at that. It has never, calling for whitetail deer has never represented any significant success for me. I'm not an expert at it. Many people are. The only thing I would tell you is when you choose to do so is absolutely during the rut. That week for the first rut or the week of the second rut would be the only times I would call. And quite frankly, I use a call more to stop a deer, not to get him to come to me.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
I don't.
I have.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I've found it to be the same. I've had deer moving away from me and called to them and turned them around, or deer that are moving through the woods. You hit them with a grunt call and they'll stop.
Correct.
So, yep.
Yeah, because I will not shoot at a walking deer.
Right. Same as myself. Is there a time when you don't want to call to deer?
Other than the rut, I don't think you call to a deer. It doesn't make any difference to him.
I don't.
He
think
doesn't react
hurt.
to that except during the rut.
Yep, I don't think it could hurt if you got no action. It's not going to hurt to throw a call out every now and then. Well, very good, sir. I appreciate it.
You bet. Good luck to you today.
Yes, sir. You keep up the good work here.
You bet. And you owe me a call next week now to tell me how you did today.
All right, I'll try to call you. I'm going to be busy working next week. I got to travel out west and to a trade show, but I will try to call you if I can.
Mighty fine. I'll look forward to that,
All
my
right.
friend. Good luck to you,
Thank
pal.
Thank you for what you do.
You bet. You're very kind. Okay, let's talk now to, if I got time, I believe I do. Let's talk now to Gary. He's calling from Snellville on O'Neill Outside. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Lovely. What's going on?
Good. O'Neill, I know that you spoke about it before, but I missed the calls.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just wondering if you could maybe explain the best way to be able to age a deer while sitting in the deer stand.
Okay. Of course, this is completely subjective, but this is the way what I would tell you to look for. Number one, he won't hold his head so high. Number two, he will have a bit of a stomach or a belly. He won't look like a teenager. He won't look long-legged and trim. He will be gaining weight, and that thickness of this brisket will make his neck look shorter. You might even notice that his face is lighter colored. His face will be kind of get gray looking like an old man. And lastly, then, too, and this is really subjective, to me, older deer looks like his feet are sore. He walks carefully. It will
He's
have
tender-footed.
Yes. It will have very, very little, if nothing, to do about the size of his rack. He gets that heritage from his mother and his father.
Mm-hmm.
So he will look older. His neck will look shorter. His shoulders will look thick, and he'll have that belly. And as a matter of fact, I have noticed with some really old deer, he looked like he'll be sway-backed a little bit.
Right. Okay.
He won't. His legs will look shorter because his body's getting bigger.
Right. Right. And O'Neill, what is a good age of a deer to take out of the system?
Minimum 3.5.
Okay.
Minimum. Now,
and their bellies would be a little bit of a sway, you would say?
He'll just look thicker. He'll look well fed, like an old man. But 3.5,
Right.
That's about, if you can, on your property, on your lease, if you can let them grow to be 3.5, then you get to see bigger, better, higher racked, mature bucks. 3.5 is the minimum. A 5.5 now you've got a prize.
Right. Right.
I got to tell you, I got to tell you, Gary, I don't think I've taken a buck in about the last 5 years.
Really?
I like watching them and watching their behavior.
You know, I tell people all the time, whether I get anything or not, it's enjoyable just to be out there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, after all, Gary, after you pull the trigger, the hunt's over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now the work begins.
Yes, sir.
And the trick is you need to shoot them close to the truck.
That's like playing golf. You want to hit it next to the cart path.
Exactly right. Play the cart path.
There you go.
I'm
O'Neill,
not good. I'm not
you.
good enough to play the sprinkler line. So if I hadn't played golf in a long time, but if I can find it, then I figure it's a successful shot.
Yeah, and my wife bought me a golf ball with a life jacket on it. What's that mean?
Well done. Let me tell you one other thing then, because I'm going to go out a break here in a moment. Is because you're an outdoorsman and a golfer, this is a quote that is a lesson in life. All set?
Yes, sir.
There was a golfer in the Golf Hall of Fame. His name was Ben Hogan, a name you're familiar with. He had a saying that in match play in golf, and this is a lesson for life, he said, never aim for trouble. Don't go over the water. Don't go over the trees. Stay in the fairway. And so if you are a hunter, a family man, an outdoorsman, or a golfer, or a businessman, that's a great thing to keep in mind.
Good advice, yes, sir.
Never aim for trouble.
I guess that's why he's a pro.
Yes, indeed. He was one of the best. Glad you called, pal.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You bet. There you go. Glad you there. All right. 53 after the hour. We got to go out of here for another break, but we have time to take another call or two, I suppose, when we return. This is O'Neill with O'Neill Outside. 404-872-0750, 800-972-8255. Boy, we've learned a lot today, hadn't we? There's a rascal on the way to the woods right now by the name of Dudley McGarity, and he's continue testing out a muzzle loader, and it'll effectively shoot 400 yards with bullseyes at 300. Now, by golly, now that expands the muzzleloader season and capability for O'Neill, and it will you too. This is O'Neill. I'll be back. Welcome back. One of the questions we got this week on the Zach Brown guest book at o'neilloutside.com, and I would urge you to go there and leave a comment. Maybe you'll win a knife. One of those comments questions, what does the moon phase have an effect on the rut? Not at all. It doesn't have any effect at all. It affects deer movement, as does so many other things, but it doesn't change the rut dates at all. Quickly, let's talk. He's been holding on quite a while. Quickly, let's talk to Richard. Good morning, Richard. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm sick and bad with a nurse.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
I heard Mac talking about, I guess that's what he does for a living. He teaches people how to fish.
Yes, he is a guide, and there's lessons to be learned with Mac.
That would be interesting there if you could get him, say, like, is he somebody that's good enough? Say, like, these people that fish in the Elite Series, and then maybe they can move up into the Bassmasters. Is that something that if you would take a lesson from him that you could learn? I just wonder how long it would take to learn how to fish. I mean, I've fished, but I really don't know how to fish. So he'd be somebody that I wouldn't mind hiring, except he's in Georgia and I'm in West Virginia, so that wouldn't work. But it's just interesting how long it would take to teach somebody how to fish. Is this like
it would
an ongoing thing or what?
It wouldn't take long, but it would take a season so that you could fish under different temperatures, different wind conditions, different depths, shallow and deep. It would take no more than a season, but the key to it would be that you go often, over and over and over and over again. You must practice that and apply those lessons to the body of water in where you fish. So one season should do it because this is the same season. The fish react to their environment the same way every time. They don't know any better. Glad you called, Richard. Sorry it took so long to get to you, pal. This is O'Neill with O'Neill Outside. Let's listen to a wonderful state tune, the theme song from Georgia. We'll be back, and I'll see you next week.